That seemed like that affected him a little bit. He's like, one day we talking about winning championships, and then the next day he requested a trade. And he's like, I'm all for people doing what's best for their families. But he was like, that really came out of left field.
All right, so Jersey translation. If I'm having a conversation with you, brother, and the day before we like, yeah, we about to do XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And the next day you come out and you like, yo, get me out of here. When Kyrie says, oh, shoot, we doing it like that? What he's saying is, oh, you's a whole ass like, you a funny acting dude. Like, all right, Samaria. So my Jersey native, Kyrie Irving, was on his Twitch. He's a streamer now, in case you didn't know, one of the biggest in the world. But he has some things to say in regards to Kevin Durant's visit to LeBron James and Steve Nash's Mind the Game podcast, in which KD was just talking about their experience in Brooklyn. He had some complaints, just kind of expressing that time period, because we never really heard much about it. When it was over, it was just kind of over, and everyone was kind of silent. But Kyrie came out and said that he is not beefing with KD, but clearly the relationship has changed. He referred to KD at one point as his best friend, but if someone is my best friend, then this conversation, the way I'm orating it, would probably go differently than the way that Kyrie was framing some of that stuff. Did you get a chance to check it out?
I did watch a few clips.
Okay.
I was able to catch a few clips. And I think what was refreshing about it is Kyrie's narrative has always been told from someone else, or we never heard his side of anything. He never spoke out. He's not, one of those guys that will, like a Draymond or somebody that's going to talk about it in the moment. So I was really excited to kind of hear what he had to say about it. I will say that it just seemed like it's just miscommunication. That's what it felt like to me. Like Kyrie was kind of putting a lot on the Brooklyn Nets organization. He's like, I never talked to front office. I didn't talk to anybody, right? Like, he's like, during the COVID stuff, I just wanted them to release me. You didn't have to trade me. Just let me go. And it seemed like KD took that personally and he didn't necessarily look at it through, maybe Brooklyn didn't really mess with Kyrie like that. Kyrie didn't mess with us. Like, he took it personal. And I feel like it was just miscommunication.
I just feel like I see it a lot differently. I don't think that Kai actually was during the COVID season, not in the bubble, but after the bubble. It was very obvious to everyone that has common sense that the rules that were being in place for Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets around New York were just dumb. Right. It was like him going to those games, sitting courtside, but not being able to be in uniform because he didn't get the COVID shot was dumb. Right. Like, there was just no way getting around that. And so that had to be a mounting level of frustration because players from every other city were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do without having that COVID shot. And Kyrie Irving, a preeminent star in the NBA, somebody who fans, of course, want to see, is putting this organization on his back. We Jersey guys. So we all grew up as Nets fans, as Nets supporters at the very least. And so now I'm trying to take this team that is the team of my childhood, and I'm trying to take them to a place they have never been. And I can't play because I don't want to inject something into my body. I think that was
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was one of the first dominoes, but I don't think he wanted to be traded or even released.
No, he said that. He said, I wanted to be released. I told them to release me.
He's too valuable of an asset to just be released, right? Like, if somebody's going to trade you, Kyrie Irving, like if you want to leave, you got to be traded because nobody's losing you of all people and getting nothing back. And that's just not the business that anybody's in.
But it seemed as though it was just a lot of stuff that the organization did that was kind of against him, is what I was trying to say. It seemed like you just said, the COVID mandates were kind of silly. And it seemed like a lot of stuff, even with the whole tweet with the Holocaust or stuff, like, it just seemed like the organization did not really mess with him like that. And so when KD talks about it, he's like, yeah, I mean, we wanted to win championships, but everybody wasn't really bought in. And Kyrie is like, no, I was bought in, but the organization, I didn't feel like was bought into me.
I just didn't think that a lot of those comments that KD was making were in regards to Kyrie. I thought those were more specific to James Harden and Ben Simmons, who both were in a Brooklyn uniform. Harden got hurt. Kyrie got hurt. That's when we saw KD going against the Milwaukee Bucks. Harden was on the floor, but he was compromised. And, they very nearly beat the Milwaukee Bucks. KD's big-ass feet happened to be on the three-point line. Otherwise, they would have won that series. I want to, people from Jersey, we talk very specifically. So I want to like break down some of what Kyrie Irving said so that people can hear what he's actually saying. So at one point, Kai says, "Yo, Kev, he wanted his guy Steve Nash. Like, all right, you wanted Steve Nash in here? Like, cool, that's your man. You love him, you like him, I love him. Like, whatever." Jersey translation: I ain't really want this man up in here, but that was Kev's guy, and I'm little bro, and so I just said okay. But to be honest with y'all, I didn't think Steve Nash was the person that should be the head coach, but I was just like, whatever. I took my hands off the wheel. He ain't really like the Steve Nash thing. And even when Steve Nash was initially hired, if you'll recall, one of the things that Kyrie Irving said was, well, I feel like we don't even really need a coach. Everybody was like, huh? But he was saying, well, we're so talented, we don't need the normal structure of other NBA teams. And there may be some legitimacy to that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that he felt like Steve Nash was the kind of guy who should be spearheading this team. And that might be also because Kyrie Irving is a very proud indigenous and black man. And so if I know anything about Kai, to be a part of this system, this ecosystem that he was building with KD, I'm pretty sure he did not want a white man at the top of that. Let me just be very frank about that. Kai he about the community. Okay? So the Canadian white guy coming in here to be my head coach, which is essentially the head coach in and of itself, that language for some people is a little when you that righteous is you got to remember who's talking here.
Yeah, and he also talked about Ime Udoka going to the Celtics and how that really hurt them because he was like, basically, they took everything that we were doing in Brooklyn and Boston was doing it, and they were ready for us when we played them.
Because Steve Nash didn't know what the hell he was doing, and obviously he ain't never been no defensive-minded anything. So when Ime Udoka goes to Boston and he actually has the players to act out his defensive schemes, that's going to pose a problem, especially when you have two offensive savants like KD and Kyrie, but being able to watch them, so close as Ime did during his Brooklyn tenure, that kind of mind that Ime has now, having the Wolves to be able to combat what the Nets were doing well, I'm sure it was a tough thing to overcome. I do want to translate a couple of more Kyrie Irving things, right? Because there's certain things that he say that's real. It sounds just like, oh, okay. But when you're from Jersey,
okay.
Kyrie said, we were all committed to the goal at the end of the day, but sometimes not everybody's going to do what you want them to do. And he said specifically, when you're a leader, not everybody is going to follow you. Jersey translation: I told his dumbass about having this man in here in this locker room trying to be our head coach, but he ain't want to listen with his hard-headed, peasy-headed ass. And so now we ain't get to have the full success that we was aiming for because now the ancillary pieces ain't what we needed to suit who we are. Like, I tried to tell this man, I tried to tell him. I tried to told him. That's what Kyrie was saying.
Find the one where he was talking about James Harden asking for the trade, because that seemed like that affected him a little bit. He's like, one day we're talking about winning championships, and then the next day he requested a trade. And he's like, I'm all for people doing what's best for their families. But he was like, that really came out of left field.
All right. So Jersey translation: if I'm having a conversation with you, brother, and the day before we like, yeah, we about to do X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And the next day you come out and you like, yo, get me out of here. When Kyrie says, oh, shoot, we doing it like that, what he's saying is, oh, you's a whole ass like, you a funny acting dude. Like, that's not what we just discussed. I don't even rock with you like that. Now, Kyrie, because he's evolved, right? Like, he ain't just Jersey. He's a world traveler. But sometimes the core of our DNA comes up first before the evolved version of us is able to filter, that Jersey ideology and mentality through a more evolved lens. So I just want y'all to know, when he was like, oh, shoot, we doing it like that, really he's saying, oh, you's a bitch. That's just it. That's really how we talk.
He said, he's like, I respect it. I respect it. Shout out to James. It's so weird calling him James. I don't know.
What you want to call him?
But I don't know. I mean, I guess you just always hear Harden. You don't really, or his full name, not just James. But anyways.
Yeah, he's not iconic enough to be just a one name. I see he's not like Beyonce or LeBron or Kobe. I get what you're saying. I understand.
I was like, James, but.
I could imagine Kyrie and KD, being taken aback when James asked for that trade. I don't really recall exactly why, from a basketball standpoint, they were playing some of the most efficient, all time offensive
Yeah.
basketball the league had ever seen.
Mm.
And I can't. Well, I don't know
Yeah,
if it was
people
a
in the
money
comments
thing.
were like, why is why is Kyrie acting like he didn't know why Harden won a trade? And I was like, right.
Oh, there was a rumor. There was a rumor. I forgot
Okay,
about
let's talk
this.
about it. Cause I was like,
There,
what happened? I don't know.
there was a rumor that Kyrie and James were playing one-on-one. They play ones after practice, before practice, whatever. And Kyrie was busting James Harden ass and talking to him like he was a child. Like embarrassing him to a point that like they said that Harden had lost some confidence. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I just remember this very vividly. People saying that Kyrie Irving was sunning James Harden on the basketball court to a point where he didn't feel like James Harden and he needed to get out of there. Swear. That was the rumor. That was the word. Word was word. You know what I'm saying? It was some of that, maybe some financial implications, whatever. Because I think Philly had more cap space to give him some more money by the time his contract was up as well. And we all know James Harden, he's gonna play that money game. His guy Daryl Morey was in Philly. I'm sure Daryl Morey promised him that he would max him out, because at that point, I don't think many people believe that James Harden should still be a max player. But yeah, it all flowed how it flowed. I love this from Kyrie, man.
I do too.
I love this from Kyrie. I love being able to hear this straight from his mouth. He's somebody whose intentions and character has been questioned through the media.
Yes.
And so for him to take a stranglehold of how he's represented and projected in the media by virtue of being on live stream and talking directly to his fan base, which is rabid. He's got like a cult following. I think is so powerful. I wish he was able to do this during his tenure in Brooklyn, especially when he was dealing with that suspension because of the video that he posted, when people calling him anti-Semitic and all of those things. So I'm loving this from my Jersey guy. We got a thing in Jersey, yo. It's like it's a thing. Nah, for real, son. Like you got to look at it. Look, can we just break it down real quick? Forget sports, period. In the last week, we've had three or four people from Jersey come out and make headlines because we're going to say what the we want to say. First, it was Shaquille O'Neal threatening Robert Griffin III. I'll punch you in your face, right? That was one. This is how we really are. We had Joe Budden come out and tell the world, yo, I'm making $20 million a year talking. That's how expensive Jersey conversation is. That's how good we are at the talk game, for real. And now you got Kyrie Irving, you know what I'm saying how I feel, addressing whatever's on my mind. Like, we keep it real. We authentic. Sorry, that was my Jersey diatribe. It's just when you from here, you just know it. So when everybody be talking bad about Kai and about Joe Budden and about anybody else from Jersey and they can't understand, yo, why he talking like that? Why he think like that? I'm telling y'all, we wired different. Scotty Beam, different.
I do like Scotty Beam. Anyways, shout out to Kyrie though. And you all drop down in the comments and you let us know, what did you make of Kyrie finally getting on Twitch and speaking his mind about a few controversial things, responding to KD the way that he did? We want to hear from you. Drop down in the comments below. And
if y'all want to hear more about some sports, make sure y'all subscribe to our newsletter. The link is in the bio. We keep y'all updated on all things, all day, all the time. 34/8. That's what they say? 34/8? I don't know.